You're listening to Where You Live with Gene and Tony.
Welcome back to Where You Live with Gene and Tony. We're having a blast here at the Minnesota All-You-Can-Eat State Fair.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It is all-you-can-eat,
There's some fun trivia. Here's one thing that you may or may not have known, Tony, but, in 1920, there was a new type of future dining that was introduced here at the Minnesota State Fair.
Okay.
It was, it looks like the Reverend J.M. Battinger created what was called the automatic eater. It was an all-you-can-eat buffet served on a rotating conveyor belt. Okay. The price was 50 cents. How cool was that? You didn't even have to go up and pick your food in line.
No.
You just sat down in front of this conveyor belt, and it just kept on coming by.
And the food came by you. So you could just take what you wanted as it went by.
Yes.
That sounds a little messy. I don't know. And I'm pretty much an automatic eater myself. So I don't know that I would take advantage of that.
Well, I probably didn't go. I mean, the idea of buffet dining, that took off.
Sure,
the conveyor belt,
not so much.
Yeah.
My son always has a plan every year, which I think is a good one. He hates it if he leaves the fair and then realizes he forgot to eat something, that there was something that he forgot that he wanted to try or that he wanted to eat again this year. So he always writes down his top 3, and he makes sure he gets those 3, and then he can do whatever he wants after that. But that way he leaves satisfied.
Yeah.
I think that's a good plan.
Yeah. Well, my son, when he was growing up, the one thing he didn't like was he liked the idea of brunch because, you had a lot of great food. But what he didn't like is that he was missing a meal because this was a combination of breakfast and lunch.
So he liked all the foods combined, but he didn't.
Yeah, but he was missing out a meal, and he just thought at the end of the day, even though his belly was stuffed.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we're broadcasting live from the Minnesota State Fair. We would love to hear from you. The number is 651-289-4488.
And if you're at the fair today, come over and see us. We'll be on air until noon. We have a contest coming up starting at noon. We're giving away lots and lots of prizes.
That's right. The contest is, Are You Smarter Than a Property Manager?
That's right. We're located at the corner of Murphy and Underwood. That's across the way from the Pet Center and near the Giant Sing-Along. So after you participate in our contest, you can go do some karaoke.
Well, let's get back. We've had Steve Hogenacker waiting on the line. Steve is one of our advertisers here on the Patriot with Concierge Landscape. And Steve, you were talking to us about a new product that was introduced this year called Imprellis that was very short-lived because they found out that even though it did a great job on weeds, it was killing the trees that he came in contact with.
Yep, that's right. So I think we were talking about, damage to the different trees, and it's definitely killed some. And others, you're going to see twisting and curling at the tops, and then on the outer branches you'll see some as well. And some of those will come back.
Okay. You listed some trees. It sounded like it was mostly coniferous.
Yep.
Coniferous trees, is that right?
Yep, that's what they're saying. Now, I just, interest of full disclosure, when this problem first happened, DuPont started blaming the lawn care company, saying that they were doing something wrong.
We all like to blame the lawn care company.
That's right. That's right. And we're not even to snow plowing yet.
Yeah, right. That's right.
So they started blaming, and then, pretty soon the evidence was overwhelming. And I guess my tie-in there is that they're still saying it's mostly these evergreens, but I've talked to a couple people at the Minnesota Nursery Landscape Association and at a couple universities, and they're wondering if there's some damage to some deciduous trees, and even on one of the class action lawsuits, it names even hydrangeas and something else pretty small. So right now they're focusing on that, but I think everybody's got to be kind of careful to see if there's, damage to other plants that need to be addressed.
So if that product was used on your lawns this year, you better watch out for some tree damage, is what you're saying. But now it's been banned, is that correct?
It's been banned, yep. But it's so long-lasting that there's a couple other precautions, and that is that they do not want anybody using any clippings from lawn sprayed with Imprellis, and they don't want you putting that in mulch in your gardens around your trees.
Oh, man.
And if a tree is taken out, they want to make sure that the soil is removed so that the Imprellis doesn't start affecting the new tree.
Wow.
So you said you had some information that you could give us on this if people wanted to find out more? Steve?
Yep. You can check with either your local U of M extension service. You can also check, DuPont has a website called, it's www.imprellis-facts.com. I'll spell it. It's IMPRELLIS-FACTS.com.
Okay, great.
And there's also a hotline set up for them that homeowners can call, and that's 866-796-4783.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Now, before we let you go, now you said you had some questions for some folks here at the fair, right?
Sure.
Okay. Now, if there's anybody, please step up. We are going to be giving away, or this is from Steve from Concierge Landscape, an $80 gift certificate to Dick's Sporting Goods. Would anybody like to try and win $80?
Here, we have a couple here that's going to try and win this.
Okay, go ahead and go to Melissa. And sir, and your name is? Steve. Do we have the microphone? Is it on? Okay. All right, Steve Hogenacker, you said you have some questions.
Yep.
Okay. Steve, go ahead. Steve is ready.
Okay. All right. We'll do this as a couple of ranges here. So last year we had almost 8 feet of snow. So let's think about that 50-gallon garbage container you put out at the end of your drive every week. If you took an average townhome driveway, how many 50-gallon garbage cans would you have to stack up to equal the amount of snow removed last season for just that unit, not including roadways and walks? Would it be 100 to 200, 200 to 500, 500 to 900?
I'd say 300.
300? Answer was 858. 858, which would be about 3 times the size of the IDS tower.
Oh, my gosh.
If
If
you
you
stacked
stacked
it on end for end.
That was a lot of snow we had
That's
last year.
a lot of snow.
Yeah.
That was a lot of
Did
snow.
you push the snow off your driveway this last year?
Yes, indeed.
So that's how much you pushed off this last year. Oh, yeah, well, look at the guns on this guy. That's right. He didn't get that one, but you've got a couple other questions, right?
Yeah, I
Let's
do.
try
I do.
You got to win.
Here, let's do one a little easier, kind of fun. Tomatoes, which are a Minnesota favorite, are really fruits. Well, this is just a true or false. In 1893, the U.S. Supreme Court declared tomatoes vegetables, so that a man named John Nix would have to pay a 10% vegetable tariff on the tomatoes he imported from the West Indies.
That is true.
That is true.
That's right.
Yay,
Ding,
all
ding,
right.
ding. We've got a winner. Here you go. The $80 gift certificate to Dick's Sporting Goods. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks
All right.
for participating.
You-
Steve Hogenacker, tell me if this is true about tomatoes. I read this somewhere long ago that tomatoes were considered poisonous at some point in our culture. Have you ever heard that?
I did not know that.
I think that was just first graders.
Maybe
who
I
didn't
dreamed
want
that.
to-
Yeah. Okay. I'll have to look that up.
I kind of thought they were growing up. My dad and I had a running argument because I would not eat tomatoes growing up, and he said to me, "Well, Steve, you'll eat ketchup, and ketchup is tomatoes." And I said, "Well, being kind of a smart aleck teenager, I said, well, that would be like I like fried eggs, but I don't like raw eggs."
Yeah. Good comparison.
Yep,
Yes, well, you were a smart aleck.
that was.
Steve, thanks so much for calling in.
You bet. Have a good
Nice
day.
to talk
All
to
right.
you.
Bye.
That was Steve Hogenacker from Concierge Landscape Studios.
And they just gave away an $80 gift certificate
$80
to
gift
Dick's Sporting
certificate,
Goods.
yes. And we want for people who are listening on the radio, you want to pay attention because, in the second hour, we're going to have a game show right here called Are You Smarter Than a Property Manager? And that'll open up for all the folks out here, strolling by here at the Minnesota State Fair as well. You want to stop for that during that time period. We're going to be giving away hundreds of dollars of gifts and prizes. But let's go on
Okay.
to our next story. And this is called the Showdown at Diablo Grande.
Okay.
There was a major upheaval underway in a developing community of Diablo Grande, where a group of residents has sued homeowners association board members, the developer called World International, and accused members of election fraud, among other allegations.
Ooh, ugly.
Yeah.
Ugly.
It says, meanwhile, the World International attorney and homeowner association board member, Guillermo Marrero, announced in a letter that there was an employee of M&C Association Management Services who was the management firm for Diablo Grande Homeowner Association, and there was misappropriated $200,000 in funds.
Wow, that's not good.
Yeah, and you know what? But the thing is, we're talking about here is misappropriation, not necessarily stolen. What they're saying is it was used up and things that they may not have agreed
They're
with.
saying it was used incorrectly.
Yes.
And they're accusing the management company.
And we're
of
going to
that.
talk more about this story, but I see that we're getting the sign to go to break right now.
Okay.
We will do that, but when we come back, more on the showdown in Diablo Grande right after this.